Are we doing the sun today? Or the shade? Or this? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about self-growth. So the process of self-growth, is it possible to actually grow, and what happens when people start to change? First of all, can people change? TLDR, the answer is yes. People can change, but they have to be the ones who want to change. You cannot change someone else. That change has to come from within. The reason change is scary is because you're going into the unknown. You're going into the unknown and you are killing this version of yourself in order to become something different. And who you are when you are that different person is not something that you are going to be able to anticipate or be aware of until that metamorphosis actually happens. So before you know what this new version is, you have to kind of just have the faith that that's going to be better than what you're doing right now. So basically, from this, you can probably see that the only people who are willing to change are the people who are so fed up with this version of themselves that they are motivated to jump into this unknown, this very scary what if, in the name of something else, anything else, even. Obviously, you're hoping that that change is going to be better. Change can be positive or negative, but anyone who's decided to change has decided that that unpredictability is better than their current reality. So, why change, right? What specifically do you have to gain from making a change in yourself or in your life? Well, one would be to have something you've never had or to do something you've never done. A lot of people will look at things other people have or things people have accomplished and think, well, why not me? Why do they get that and not me? It's because they've become the type of person who can handle not just the perks of having that thing or that experience, but also the liabilities and the challenges of having whatever thing or experience that you are envious of. And believe it or not, you can have or do anything as long as you are willing to become the person who is capable of handling it. If you're wondering, is there any way for me to see if I would even like to become that person before going through that change and trying to have that thing? The answer is no. You're not gonna realize what it takes to become that person until you actually try to do it. You don't know who you're gonna become at the end of this change. That is also part of the deal. That is what makes it so scary. That's why so many people just would rather stay where they are. Another reason people may seek change is just for a change of pace or a sense of adventure. Maybe you're feeling stagnant, maybe you feel unfulfilled in your current life, and you're just looking to spice things up. You're looking to go on some kind of a quest or a journey and have something to talk about, basically. And having something to talk about is really just an extension of having a life well lived or living a life well lived. Now, what is change going to cost you? Number one, it's going to cost you time, and number two, it's going to cost you energy. Very rarely does making an internal change in who you are cost you money unless you are trying to build a certain skill or enter a certain vocation. Change is also deeply uncomfortable. When you go through change, you're going to have a lot of trials and tribulations and a lot of ups and downs. So instead of trying to focus on the end result that you are hoping to achieve, focus on falling in love with the process. The process of going through all of the hoops that are going to require you to be hammered into whatever it is you're trying to become. When you're going through intense periods of change, what happens is your process becomes the only point of consistency. That is really the only thing that you can count on as remaining the same. The rest of it is going to be pretty up in the air. So hanging on to this process is going to give you a big sense of peace as you are going through this very dynamic character arc. When you're in a period of intense change, and you know you're in a period of intense change, you can't get too attached to any version of your current reality, because it's probably not going to be that way for very long. But in a way, this is a good thing, because it can teach you to be grateful for the present moment in a way that you haven't thought to be grateful of it before. I like to really focus on romanticizing the aspects of where I'm at, and I will just look around at what my life looks like at the moment and understand that it won't be that way forever, and think about how, if I was looking back on my life and looking back to this time period, what is one thing that I would probably miss? And I try extra hard to enjoy that aspect of it every single day. I think this is a great way to look at life itself, because at the end of the day, nothing is really permanent. Even if you are the type of person who doesn't like to change and you just want to stay the same forever, nothing actually stays the same forever. So really, this is a great mindset to have, even if you're not going through an intense period of change as well. Obviously, change is very uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about your own personal growth or your own personal identity. So when it comes to change, it really helps to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So this doesn't mean that you have to constantly be striving for pain, which some people can get addicted to this progress and just not want to be stagnant at all. And that's not entirely healthy either. You want to take some time in between your big jumps to just enjoy where you're at. Otherwise, you will miss life entirely. Life is not just one long march of pain in pursuit of self-improvement. You should actually enjoy the little pockets of stillness in between your jumps of change. If you're wondering how to better deal with the low points of change as you're going through this process, not taking failure personally. You failing is not a reflection of who you are as an individual or as an identity. Like, don't self-identify with the failure. The failure is just something that happened to you. It's just something that happened to you. That previous effort wasn't good enough, and that's okay. Failure is research, and one of the best skills that you can have is being able to fail productively, successfully, and with minimal damage to your emotional well-being. Fail, stand up, and try again. More intelligently. If you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same result. I know it's going to hurt. I know you're going to fail and you're going to feel terrible. But don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Just stand up, problem solve. Yes, you're gonna have to feel it sometimes. Yes, it's gonna suck. Yes, some failures are gonna sting more than others. But the sooner you can dust that off and the faster you can start again, the quicker you are going to get out of this low and back to your next high. Because there will be little wins along this process as well. I know the failures are going to stand out more in your mind, but the wins are going to be there too, the little wins. And finally, how do you make sure that you are going to like your final product, that you're going to enjoy the person that you're becoming? I know I said it was impossible to know exactly what that would look like before you actually became it, and that is true. But there is a trick that you can implement in your process to make sure that no matter what that final version is, you are going to be okay with it and even excited about it and happy about it, and much better off in that future version than in the past version that you began with at the very beginning. And the way to do that is by always acting in resonance with your personal values and having a clear idea of what your preferences are and what the life that you want to be living looks like for yourself. And when you're deciding on all of these things for yourself, you need to, one, understand that it's okay to change your mind about it, because sometimes the things that we want don't actually feel like the way we want to feel. We think we want something, then we get it, and we realize the reality of it doesn't really match up with what we thought it was going to be, and we are unhappy with it. So don't be afraid to change your mind, and be very in tune with that very early on. If you're starting something and you're like, I don't know if I like this, and that I don't know if I like this feeling just gets more intensified the deeper you go into it, get out as early as possible and reevaluate. If you shrug it off too much, you're gonna end up unrecognizable when you look in the mirror, and it's gonna be really hard to change back into something different once you've already made all this progress in a certain direction. Make sure that this thing that you're working towards is in line with your personal values, and make sure your personal values are of substance. So don't just be chasing something based on external metrics. Make sure you're chasing something based on internal metrics. How something makes you feel is more important than how it looks on the outside to other people. So a lot of people get into this trap of doing things for favorable public opinion, but 10, 15, 20 years down the line, which is in many cases how long it's going to take for you to actually become the person you're trying to become, the societal standards almost certainly will be different. So if you're just chasing public opinion, that is setting you up for disaster right off the bat. Chase things that are making you feel good about the life that you're living. That way, the change that you're pursuing is not really changing you per se. It's just making you more like yourself every single day. It's making you the most authentic version of yourself. And this is even more important when it comes to romantic relationships, because then when it's time for you to find love, you can go through this process of change without fear of this individual process of self-growth driving away the other person. You are never going to be changing into someone that is unrecognizable to your partner. You are just becoming more authentically yourself. And if they're loving you for you, then they will always love that. In fact, they may love it even more. They will love it even more because you're becoming more and more like this authentic version of you who they fell in love with in the first place just by seeing mere glimpse of it in the beginning. So that is my crash course on personal growth. I hope this helps you, and follow for more.